Jay-Z's name has been tied to countless headlines over the years, from his legendary career milestones to his business empire and even his high-profile marriage to Beyoncé. But one story that has refused to die down is the persistent allegation made by Rymir Satterthwaite, a man from Philadelphia who has claimed for much of his life that Jay-Z is his biological father. What makes the story so compelling is not only the celebrity at the center of it, but also the decades of legal twists, personal anguish, and shocking accusations that continue to unfold even in recent months. For Rymir, this has been a lifelong battle for recognition, and for Jay-Z, it's a fight to put an end to what he and his legal team insist is a baseless and damaging harassment campaign. The story traces back to the 1990s, when Rymir's late mother, Wanda Satterthwaite, claimed she had a brief relationship with Sean Carter, who would later rise to become the iconic Jay-Z. According to Wanda, this fling happened before Jay-Z's fame reached stratospheric levels, and she maintained until her death that Jay-Z was Rymir's father. Over the years, Wanda sought legal avenues to prove paternity, but the road was far from straightforward. Court filings, rejections, and alleged legal maneuverings created a messy paper trail that still fuels conspiracy theories to this day. Rymir himself has claimed repeatedly that Jay-Z and his legal team did everything in their power to avoid a DNA test, thereby prolonging his suffering and robbing him of the closure he believes he deserves. This already complicated saga has taken yet another turn with newly filed court documents obtained by Us Weekly. According to those documents, Jay-Z is asking a federal judge to intervene and shut down a lawsuit filed by 31-year-old Rymir Satterthwaite. In this complaint, filed in May, Rymir accuses Jay-Z of knowingly avoiding a paternity test and leveraging his immense wealth and celebrity status to silence him. The lawsuit goes even further, alleging fraud, manipulation of the legal system, and a chilling pattern of intimidation. These are serious allegations, and ones that Jay-Z's legal team has forcefully denied. They argue that Rymir's accusations are nothing new, that they have already been addressed and rejected by multiple courts, and that this is just another chapter in what they call a decades-long harassment campaign. Jay-Z's lawyers made it clear in their filing that they believe the courts have ruled on this matter multiple times, and that the repetition of the claims has even led to contempt orders against Wanda and others tied to the case. The Roc Nation founder also explained that he only learned of the most recent filing on June 3rd, requesting additional time to formally respond. His legal team added that when they attempted to reach out to Rymir's guardian to discuss coordination, the conversation turned hostile and ended abruptly with the phone being hung up. To them, this is just further proof of the toxic nature of these proceedings. But from Rymir's perspective, this is about far more than a legal technicality. His lawsuit lays out a devastating account of what he believes has been his lived reality. He claims that Wanda's relationship with Jay-Z in the 1990s was real, that the rapper has done everything possible to avoid confirming paternity through DNA testing, and that this evasion has left him with emotional distress, public embarrassment, and even health complications. To make matters more dramatic, Rymir alleges that his fight for recognition has even put his life in danger. He claims that he survived a violent threat in the form of a car shooting, which he believes was a targeted message intended to silence him. While such a claim is nearly impossible to verify, it speaks to the level of fear and paranoia that Rymir says has surrounded him for years. It's worth noting that Rymir has clarified he is not seeking back child support or financial payouts tied to his upbringing. Instead, he insists this lawsuit is about damages for the toll the situation has taken on his mental and physical health, and about finally achieving acknowledgement from a man he believes to be his father. In other words, this is about validation and justice, not money. But critics of his case argue that no matter how heartfelt his claims may seem, the repeated dismissals by multiple courts suggest that the allegations simply don't hold legal weight. For Jay-Z, this ongoing battle isn't just a personal nuisance, it's a threat to his carefully managed reputation as a family man and one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. Looking back, it's clear why this story has captured so much public attention. On one side, we have Jay-Z, a 55-year-old cultural icon who has built an empire worth billions, someone whose influence spans music, fashion, sports, and business. On the other side, we have Rymir, a man who says he has been living in the shadow of a global superstar while being denied the truth of his own identity. The contrast is stark, and the power dynamics make the case even more intriguing. Rymir has gone so far as to take his story to the media, speaking to outlets like the Daily Mail and detailing how the alleged cover-up has impacted every aspect of his life. He has described growing up without a father figure, dealing with whispers and judgment from peers, and feeling like his voice has been drowned out by Jay-Z's influence. Critics of Jay-Z often point out that if he truly has nothing to hide, agreeing to a DNA test would settle the matter once and for all. But Jay-Z's legal team argues that it's not that simple. They believe the repeated legal filings, despite past rejections, are an abuse of the court system, and that subjecting Jay-Z to testing after decades of litigation would only encourage frivolous lawsuits from others hoping to gain attention or money. It's a slippery slope argument, and one that courts seem to have leaned toward in previous rulings. Yet for the public, the absence of definitive DNA proof leaves the door open for speculation, and speculation is the fuel that keeps this story alive. From my perspective, what makes this saga so fascinating is the way it highlights the collision between fame, power, and personal truth. Rymir is just one man fighting for acknowledgement, but his opponent happens to be one of the most famous and influential men in the world. Whether or not his claims are true, the optics alone create a narrative that people can't look away from. It also raises questions about how the legal system handles cases where one side wields enormous resources and influence, while the other side is relatively powerless. Even if every ruling has gone against Rymir, some observers wonder whether justice was served fairly or if the scales were tipped from the start. Adding to the complexity is the role of Wanda, Rymir's late mother, who stood by her claims until the end. Her persistence is part of what drives Rymir to continue the fight, even decades later. To him, this isn't just about himself, it's about honoring his mother's truth and making sure her voice isn't erased by legal technicalities. That layer of family loyalty and grief gives the story an emotional depth that resonates with audiences, even if they remain skeptical about the allegations. Meanwhile, Jay-Z has mostly chosen silence outside of court documents. He has never spoken publicly at length about the case, perhaps in an effort to avoid giving it oxygen. But that silence has arguably fueled more curiosity. After all, people tend to assume that if someone is being falsely accused, they would be eager to clear their name definitively. Jay-Z's refusal to take that step leaves a lingering cloud of doubt in the minds of many fans and critics alike. In the end, the story is less about legal victories and more about perception. Legally, Jay-Z appears to be in the stronger position, with multiple courts siding against Rymir's claims over the years. But in the court of public opinion, things are murkier. Every new filing, every headline, every media interview adds fuel to the fire and ensures that the narrative will not go away quietly. For Jay-Z, that means an unwanted distraction from his otherwise untouchable legacy. For Rymir, it means continuing to fight an uphill battle that may never give him the closure he seeks. What's undeniable is that the saga between Jay-Z and Rymir Satterthwaite has now spanned decades, outlasting countless other celebrity scandals that come and go in the blink of an eye. And with new filings still appearing as recently as this year, it's clear that this is not a story that will fade anytime soon. Whether it ends in a definitive DNA test, a courtroom ruling, or simply continued speculation, the world will keep watching. Because when fame and family collide, the result is always a story worth following.